Hello, I'm Ben Lands, Executive Advisor for APC Media. We're here at the CIGRE 2025 International Symposium in Montreal, Canada, interviewing thought leaders and experts in the power industry and bringing those insights to you, our readers, around the world. Our next guest is Michael Kobzar.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and you are the Secretary-Treasurer of CIGRE Canada.
Correct. For about 4 or 5 years now.
Is that right? Well,
yeah.
Tell me a little about your role and about some of the changes you've seen in CIGRE over the years.
Yeah. So now we're having bigger events. We're having we're doing a lot of outreach now. I'm very proud of our NGN, New Generation Network.
Okay.
Their committee, we're supporting them in a way with money and resources so they can go out into the NGN world and reach young people that we don't know how to do.
Well, it's finally exciting in the power industry.
It is
a great moment to have the structure in place and now investing in that young network, and people are excited to be in the power industry now.
It is. Yeah. They started this pub night on campuses where they'll go to a campus.
Okay.
They have the banner, CIGRE banner, and they have some beer and chicken wings, and they invite the occasional old guy to sort of come along and say a few words.
Sure.
But it's so great to see this room full of young people, with a drink in their hand and talking about what they aspire to do and who they hope to work for, or who they did work for in an internship or something. It's great to see that.
Wow, that is great. I could have used something like that in college. That would have been even more inspiring.
Yeah. And they bounce off that. At the end of this conference, they're going to be having a very big one. There'll be hundreds of people at the hotel just across the street. They'll be having a big NGN night, and that's
great.
Yeah. So, and they're holding these pub nights all the way across the city. But again, this is just one example of some of the committee work that that is done. Something similar with the women in engineering as well, or women in energy. Exactly. There's a committee as well. They began to do outreach in Winnipeg, Montreal, and a few other towns. They have these, like a pub night. It's a little bit different. It's not so pubby, but kind of a get together where they network and talk about things. They get their headshots, professional headshots. There's a little bit of mentoring going on. So it's really great stuff. And this is something that never really happened before, but you get the right people sort of in the room, and these are some of the ideas that come out. So, and we're having a lot of young people join our organization.
And this is a great event too. I mean, this CIGRE 2025 here, this international symposium here in Montreal. Look at the energy here.
2,000 people. Who would have thought? That in Canada you could attract 2,000 people. I met people in that exhibit hall from the Middle East, from Eastern Europe, from Asia, some people from Japan just a moment ago, South America. It's just amazing how far people have crossed oceans and continents to be here.
You hope.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
for our industry and for the international community. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to switch over to, from your perspective, you've had a number of years in the industry, not just with CIGRE, but out there in the trenches. From your perspective, what are some of the challenges that we're facing, the both transmission power area or really wherever your vantage point is taking you?
Yeah, I would say supply. What's happening right now is every country and every economy is racing to electrify dramatically and all at once. And this wasn't really the case before. In the past, countries would take, over the decades, they would build out their grid. But now everybody, as quickly as they possibly can, are electrifying everything. And there's just not enough manufacturing capability to do all that. So there's going to be winners and losers. There is. So I think what's happening are, I would say it's hard to imagine that when somebody needs infrastructure to buy a transformer or build a switchyard, or you want to build a new transmission line, you simply cannot get the kit to do that in a timely way. When a transformer takes 4 or 5 years, that's a big challenge. Now you're getting into
Supply chain is over and over again. I'm hearing that's the challenge.
it is, yeah, and that's the big challenge, and so there needs to be adjustments, and we can't just do things like we did in 2016 and say this is the way we do things, because somebody else, some other country or some other utility that needs this will if they're a little more agile, will find a way to run circles around you. And so there's winners and losers. Yeah.
What an amazing I remember when I started in this industry almost 30 years ago. That wasn't it. You couldn't unimaginable.
Unimaginable. Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic, though. What a time to be in our industry.
Yeah.
So, also thinking about, so that's our current challenge. When you start thinking 3, 5, maybe 10 years out, what do you think? Where do we need to be going?
So that challenge doesn't change. There's nothing in the short and medium or long term that where that dynamic is going to change. That constriction has only become more acute for a couple of reasons. One is this energy. I don't even want to call it the energy transition, but the energy addition. We're just adding every type of energy. That's not going to end. We have to double the amount of power around the globe in 25 years. So it took us 100 years to get here. In 25, we need to double again, and probably more than that with AI. Nobody really understands what the need for AI is going to be. So it's going to be more than double. And so it's going to become more acute. And what's actually going to make it even tougher to manage is politically now there's sort of domestic protectionism. So before you'd say, go into the world and get this stuff, and now you say, well, no, you can only get it from this corner of the world, and it makes that constricted supply chain even more constricted, and that's so the politics are kind of not helping; they're hurting.
Yeah, that's going to be a significant challenge, and I can see in some cases pros and cons, but ultimately it's going to be our challenge to solve, right?
Yeah. I don't.
CIGRE has an interesting perspective because it's such an international body of experts and folks that have an incredible amount of not just experience, but visibility. What role do you see CIGRE playing in solving some of these challenges?
In solving that, well, just the dialogue. A conference like this is unbelievable. There's literally 1,000 papers being delivered. They talk about all aspects of
diversity up top, because
it's incredible. Yeah,
right.
So without that level of dialogue, you wouldn't identify these problems, or not just these problems we talked about. There are many other problems. This is the place to share that information, and it's understanding that there's a problem, before you could solve it. The CIGRE is just a great organization. I really don't know if there's anything, quite like it. The governance is great. It's a great organization to take all this intelligence around the world and concentrate it to come up with a recommendation. And that's really the nature of these study committees. They'll take some aspect of power transmission. They have people from around the world, one person from every country around the world, and they take the regional knowledge and they put it into this study committee, and that's where it gets concentrated. And these recommendations come out.
Yeah, I think it's
so great. Without that vehicle, there would be no potential solution.
I think it's a sort of remarkable position, right? You have the IEEEs of the world, you've got IECs, you've got the VDEs, right? You have all these national standards, and then you have CIGRE over the top of this. Yeah. I picture in my mind at the forefront of what are the new ideas, how have people solved, where is the state of technology, and then all of these standards organizations really pulling from that. Yeah. I see a great role in that communication.
Yeah.
And this is an exciting place to be here in Montreal.
It is.
CIGRE,
it is.
25 years, this international symposium.
It is. And it's the power of serendipity. I tell you, you bump into people, you go out of your way to talk to people you don't know, and before you know it, you make a connection, and some problem you have, you bump into somebody who can contribute And this is the perfect place for that. Yeah.
Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Appreciate your insights here at CIGRE 2020.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.